Hello everyone, my name is Tangatar Balgyn and I'm a third year student at SU University, and this is the reflection on the course Teaching English to Young Learners taught by our instructor Sultan Tangatar. And in this video I'll be talking honestly what teaching English to young learners means to me, what did I expect from this course, and what I actually gained, and what challenges I faced, and how I plan to use this knowledge in the future. To me, teaching English to young learners is more than just teaching language, and it's about understanding how children learn, how they think, how they feel, and using that understanding to help them build a foundation in English in a way that's joyful and effective. Honestly, I used to think that teaching English to young learners was just about using only songs and games, but now I see it's a whole approach that requires empathy, creativity, energy mostly, and a deep understanding of children's developmental stages. And at the beginning of the course, I expected to learn some basic methods to teach English to kids, maybe how to make lessons fun or how to manage a classroom, but I thought it would mostly focus on activities and the materials. I honestly didn't expect to go so deep into child psychology and learning theories and real challenges that teachers face, and I assumed it would be more about what to teach than how to teach or why. What I actually received was much more comprehensive, and I gained not only tools and techniques but a solid theoretical background. For example, we explored the critical period hypothesis, which helped me understand why early exposure matters, and we also studied Jean Piaget's cognitive development theory, and this gave me insight into how learners process information, and especially the importance of concrete learning experiences. And the course taught me the key characteristics of young learners, how they learn through play, repetition, visuals, and how short their attention spans are, and how important routine and emotional connection are in their learning journey. And one major challenge was classroom management, especially learning how to keep young learners engaged without things getting chaotic. And another challenge was dealing with multi-level groups, and where some children are much stronger than others. At first, I didn't know how to adopt the same lesson to for different levels, but through the course, I really learned strategies like peer work and using visuals of gestures to support low level learners. And also, the assessment was confusing at first for me, so I didn't know how to evaluate progress without tests. Mm. But in this course, I learned about informal assessments like observation. The course overall was well structured, and we started with the theories and definitions like who is a young learner and importance of early language education. And during the course, we looked at who young learners are, and not just in terms of age, but in terms of how they learn. And I now understand that young learners are curious, energetic, and often learn best through movements, play, and of course emotional connection. And there are some aspects of the course that went really well for me. I connected with the idea of teaching through play and stories, and I found myself naturally thinking of creative ways to engage kids. And my classroom management ideas also improved a lot over the time, and I feel much more aware now of how to handle young learners' energy in a positive and structured way. The structure and content of this course was were really mm, well um, well really were really well thought out and balanced. We didn't just focus on theory, we were constantly connecting ideas to real teaching practice. And one of the most valuable parts of the course was the micro teaching sessions, and each student has a chance to teach one of the core skills like listening, speaking, reading, writing, grammar to our peers, and it was such a practical and eye-opening experience for me. And through micro teaching, I learned how challenging it can be to keep young learners engaged, and even during a short activity, it really pushed me to think creatively and adapt my materials to be more age appropriate and interactive. But what helped me grow the most was the feedback we received from our instructor, and it was always constructive and specific, pointing out not only what went well, but also what we could improve. I also learned so much just by watching others teach, seeing different styles, classroom language, and how others handled common challenges gave me a lot of new ideas to try in the future. And so, overall, the mix of the theory, discussion, and the micro teaching made this course really effective and meaningful for me. And moving forward, I feel much more prepared to teach young learners, and I will use what I learned in several ways, and I will plan lessons that are age appropriate and using games and songs to support learning, and other helpful strategies that we've learned from this course. And I'll design tasks that focus more on language interaction, language exposure, rather than grammar rules. And I will use informal assessment to track progress and adjust my teaching accordingly. And most importantly, I'll try to create a classroom environment where children feel safe, curious, and of course motivated. And now I'd like to take a moment to do a quick SWOT analysis of myself as a future teacher, looking at my strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats in this profession. And starting with my strengths, I consider myself to be a creative and resourceful person, especially when it comes to designing teaching materials or activities. I enjoy finding fun, engaging ways to present content, especially for young learners. And another one is that I'm patient and I generally enjoy working with children, and I believe that connection and empathy go a long way in teaching. And lastly, I'm willing to learn, and I reflect on feedback seriously and always look for ways to improve. And I think that mindset is essential in education. And as for my weaknesses, one thing I'm still working on is building confidence in classroom management. I sometimes hesitate when it comes to handling disruptions or staying firm with rules. And another area is time management, especially under pressure or tight deadlines. And I tend to overplan or get caught up in details, which slows me down mostly. And also, I don't yet have a lot of experience in differentiating instruction for students at different levels, which is something I'll definitely need to practice more. And looking for opportunities, I know that with more teaching practice, especially micro teaching and real classroom exposure, I'll continue to grow and gain confidence. And also, observing experienced teachers, joining mentorship programs, or even watching model lessons online could give me insight and practical tips to bring into my own teaching. And finally, threats. One challenge I face is overthink and being afraid to make mistakes. And sometimes I put too much pressure on myself to be perfect, which can hold me back from taking risks or trying new things. And another threat is limited exposure to real classroom settings so far, and which can leave me feeling unsure about how I'll perform in practice. And of course, like many new teachers, there is always the risk of burnout, especially if I don't learn to pace myself and set realistic expectations. And so overall, this SWOT analysis helps me see where I stand and what I need to work on moving forward. And I'm excited to keep improving and growing on this journey. And so wrapping up, this course gave me both knowledge and confidence. Teaching English to young learners is not easy. It requires patience, creativity, and understanding, but it's also deeply rewarding. And I'm grateful for everything I've learned. And I know this is just the beginning of my journey, and I look forward to applying all this in real classrooms and continuing to grow as a teacher. Thank you for your attention.